What's going on YouTube? Your dude Sly here, and welcome back to another Sly Nation Cyberpunk news video. It's that time again to dive back into more detail concerning our next mega RPG, Cyberpunk 2077. We're going to be talking about digital ghosts, difficulty setting, owning our very own garage in Night City, Cyberpunk prequel, and much more. So sit back, chillax, and let's dive into the latest Cyberpunk news for the end of July. As you probably are aware by now, Cyberpunk is something I've been excited for quite some time, and I'm sure if you're watching this, then you and I are on the exact same boat. So if you're a fan of keeping up with everything going on and the latest Cyberpunk news, keep it here as there will be plenty of news videos from now until the game drops. Last week, there wasn't really a ton of information to talk about, but it still made for a fairly long video. And once again, some new interviews and articles have been popping up, and inside, some awesome details that we're about to check out. So first up, let's talk about a Cyberpunk prequel. Tabletop RPGs, or TRPGs, have made a huge comeback in recent years. At one time, Dungeons & Dragons was relegated to an almost taboo form of gaming, reserved for the nerdiest of nerds, but as barriers break down, tabletop RPGs are experiencing a huge resurgence, and this is where Cyberpunk Red comes into play. If you're interested in knowing how Night City came to be and everything that led up to Cyberpunk 2077, the tabletop RPG game maker Talsorian Games has made, in collaboration with Mike Pondsmith, this new TRPG that bridges the gap of the original Cyberpunk tabletop game and the upcoming video game itself. Now personally, I just can't get into TRPGs. I've tried D&D several times and it's just not my thing. However, if it is yours, then Cyberpunk Red, as it's called, will be something to keep an eye out for. It'll be just $15 and it's set to debut at Gen Con 2019, which I believe is early August. Mike Pondsmith was quoted as saying this about Cyberpunk Red: "If Cyberpunk 2020, the original tabletop game, were Star Wars, Cyberpunk Red is basically Empire Strikes Back, and then 2077 is Return of the Jedi." So now that it's referenced in Star Wars terminology, I bet it makes a lot more sense. Okay, so moving on here, our next topic has to deal with nanowires. CDPR's Twitter has been consistently uploading small clips and tidbits about Cyberpunk, and the latest has to deal with a bit of kit called nanowire. Now we've seen this before, like in this clip here. It's an extremely thin piece of technology that's built into the arm, and it allows you to instantly connect to any person or machine. As it's upgraded over time, being able to hack from afar will also be possible. But until then, you can plug in and hack your enemies, such as uploading malware, which makes your enemies turn against their own people or do what you want. Or if you want a more hands-on approach, think of nanowire kind of like that string saw you used to get in the back of a survival knife. Pull it out, wrap it around, and slice. We also know that various options exist on how to complete the game, such as a pacifist's run, where you literally kill no one the entire time you play. I'm sure the nanowire will definitely be working overtime if you wish to stealthily creep around Night City while laying in the shadows. Or if you're like me, try to see how many people you can hack up at once with the nanowire, so I guess to each their own. Which moves on to our next piece, your garage. Now a few weeks ago, this sexy picture right here popped up. It's caused quite a stir online. Now we've seen crotch rockets before, but never posed like this. Known as the Yaiba Kusanagi, it's one sexy seat with wheels. The nuke symbol also foreshadows just a little bit of power. The cool thing is that this is only one option out of the many we're going to be able to get. As we progress in the game itself, you're going to be able to own your very own garage, and within it store quite a few different options, from bikes to cars, trucks, etc. Now there's no word on the exact number of vehicles we're allowed to store here, but I'm starting to feel kind of a retro Need for Speed vibe here. But I'm willing to bet customizing in one form or another will be included. How deep it goes is just a guess, as you know, customizing is not confirmed at all, but it does lead into our next piece of news, minigames. Now, we've known about minigames for a month or so now, but I thought it good to bring it back up again, because as you're driving around the 6 different districts of Night City, racing will be one of the side games you can get into. And if you're racing, then I'm assuming that means you can somehow build up your own car or like customize street cars to get the job done. And so now that we know V can end up owning a garage, it brings a new meaning to these minigames, and it almost gives them like an entirely, different game within this mega game that is Cyberpunk 2077. Once again, it'll be exciting to see how deep you can actually customize this, if it is customizable at all. Okay, so moving on here, you might have heard that I mentioned 6 districts within Night City, and that is absolutely true. While I'm not really sure what each area is called, at least right now, we do know that the city itself is massive. But that's not the only place we're going to be able to go. According to a recent article in the official Xbox magazine by way of WCCF Tech, Alvin Liu, who is one of the UI coordinators for CDPR, told Xbox that within Cyberpunk 2077 there are no areas within Night City that are going to be off limits or gated. You can go anywhere within the city at any time, but like other RPGs, some areas might bring you instant death as enemies will be leagues higher than your own level. So it's places you're going to want to avoid until you're ready. But more than that, we also know just how big the entire world will be. Several developers have compared Cyberpunk 2077's map to The Witcher 3's, and they say it's pretty much comparable, which by the way is massive, and you're not limited to just Night City. Liu was quoted as saying you'll be able to go out in the deserts of California and view things like power plants, abandoned highways, and stuff like that. So you're not just limited to Night City. So I think that's going to be pretty cool to see how everyone else lives outside of the city. It's like, things outside of the city, like back in the Stone Age where they have like barely any power, they're just surviving, kind of like a Mad Max kind of deal, or is everybody all teched out? That's going to be a question for another time. But on top of that, the game is also going to feature a dynamic weather system including acid rain from all of the pollution. NPCs will react to different weather and to your presence as well. Similar to the Witcher system, if you do things in the shadows, like kill someone with no one watching, you're not going to be bothered. But if you start killing out in the open, others will avoid you, and they also will not play nice. Once again, it's just more systems piled on top of each other, as immersion is something extremely important to CDPR. Okay, so up next, let's head back into the recent Xbox article. Thanks to a preview on an eMag website, we get a free glimpse into some new NPCs and leaders within Cyberpunk. Everyone knows Dexter Deshawn and his sidebook netrunner T-Bug, but what about Maman Brigitte or Sasquatch? We know of the Voodoo Boys, but what about the animals? Well, this preview gives us a glimpse at just a small group of individuals who we will interact with within Night City. We of course have Dexter Deshawn and T-Bug, but moving over to the newer NPCs, ones we don't see that often, representing the Voodoo Boys, we have its main leader, Maman Brigitte, and his next in command, Placide. Dex Deshawn is known as a fixer, T-Bug a netrunner, but the Voodoo Boys' top brass are known as gang enforcers. They have a modern twist on the ancient Haitian practice of voodoo culture and are masters of cyberspace. They believe that one day they will upload their consciousness into the cloud, also known as digital transcendence. The next sexy thing you see off to the far right, another NPC you'll meet within the game, coming from the gang known as the Animals. This gang leader is called Sasquatch, and where Dex has the cybernetic arm, T-Bug has a neural hacking implant, Voodoo Boys are cyberspace jacks, Sasquatch's cyberware is called a juice injector. Now we've seen juice used before. It's a drug that enhances various elements of the body, strength, speed, stamina, and it's always in a compact form of an inhaler. And since we're in an RPG, I'm assuming there will be various different juices to boost different aspects of your character. Perhaps maybe luck, intelligence? We'll find out soon enough. But the Animals are basically what you would expect from a gang called the Animals, a brutal, non-stop party type of gang. And judging by the big hammer, you know they respect pure strength. Now there are more gangs of course, but this free little glimpse is pretty cool, and the link is down below if you wish to zoom in and read up about it. Okay guys, next up let's talk about my boy Keanu Reeves, Johnny Silverhand. Now for those who know a little about the lore and backstory of Cyberpunk, Johnny is a main character in the Cyberpunk 2020 tabletop RPG. But the thing is, he supposedly dies before the year 2077. Now this isn't a spoiler, this doesn't happen within the game itself, but earlier. So that of course causes a conflict, and rumors have been popping up that Johnny Silverhand is in fact a ghost, or a digital ghost. It's something already happening in real science today. Uploading the human consciousness will be a goal that I believe one day will be a reality. So if you can swap mouths and eyes at will, hack each other, change out your hands, legs, hearts, whatever, uploading your brain is right on up there. And this is where I think Johnny Silverhand lives, as a digital ghost guiding you through the game, and you are picking up where he left off. Now it's been hinted at by a few different developers, but no one is saying for sure if Johnny Silverhand is in fact a digital ghost. Either way, CDPR seems extremely excited about Keanu Reeves' playing the role, not just for star power, but the complexity and charisma he brings to the character itself, seen as a natural fit. And for what I've seen, I could not agree more. Okay, y'all, and the final piece of news here has to do with difficulty. Like I mentioned in one of my last videos, I wasn't sure if New Game Plus was going to be an option, and in the comments someone said it would be. So I researched it a bit, find out that is indeed the case. But on top of that, yesterday some more information came out about difficulty setting and how CD Projekt Red is trying to cater to every gamer possible. If you've played Witcher 3, and by the way, if you haven't, then you are missing out on one of the best RPGs in modern times, then you might remember there was a story mode within The Witcher 3 called Just the Story, and right after that, the next difficulty was a Story and Sword. Well, Cyberpunk 2077 will include this as well. There were many different options for every level of gamer. For those who want a more movie-like experience, you could go in with very little gaming experience and get all the details without becoming confused or aggravated at like a boss battle, or if you run into high-level enemies, or if you're not quite comfortable with third-person or first-person mechanics. Well, Cyberpunk 2077 will also enjoy the same type of setting, where you can basically play the game as more of a story mode than a shooter. Or you can do the normal / recommended mode, which CDPR feels is the best way to play the game. And just recently, we found out about a hardcore mode, which will take away the UI entirely. It'll be just you and Night City. Now, of course, you can still aim through gun sights and stuff like that, but on top of harder enemies, you'll also have to get a good grasp of the game mechanics, such as hacking and world interactivity if you wish to pull off hardcore mode. It's just one more way that Projekt Red is trying to cater to as many people as possible. And with that, that is about it, guys. PAX West and Gamescom are coming up right around the corner, and I was invited to attend a showing of Cyberpunk at Gamescom, but I had to get my ass there myself, and currently that is something I cannot afford. However, if by some miracle I get invited to Gamescom, I will have loads of news, but as of right now, the next big news drop will come when the E3 demo goes public, as this will be the first time we get to see the game unedited, not in a vertical slice or a demo or CGI. This will be true gameplay, and that's something I've been waiting for quite some time. But for now, that is it, ladies and gents. As always, thank you for watching and for supporting Sly Nation. There are a vast amount of choices here on YouTube, and it's incredibly awesome that you choose to watch me, so I thank you for that. If you're new to my channel, then welcome, my friend. Subscribe for lots more Cyberpunk 2077, Destiny 2, Anthem, Star Wars, and so much more. Spank the thumbs up, but only if you enjoyed yourself, and if you know of any other recent announcements, be sure to post it in the comments down below, but also to be sure to post your source material. If you wish to catch up on social media, feel free to check me out on Twitter at SlyNation or SlyNation Gaming on Facebook. The end of 2019 and the first half of 2020 will be quite the year to be a gamer, so stick around as I cannot wait to see what comes out next. And as always, keep those eyes open for more videos coming out here soon, but until then, this is your dude Sly, and I'll catch you beauties next time.